What is scalping? Sam, how can I be successful as a scalper? What does it take to become a successful scalper? How do I know where to have my stop, where to have my target? I mean, what's it all about? I mean, how many trades should I take in a day? How many contracts should I put on? Well, these are questions that a lot of people do ask me over the last 25, 30 years. And the answer for some of what I just went over is very easy, very simple. The part that most people have trouble with is the execution. Now, why is that? A, an individual may not understand price action, which is by far 99% of what we do. That's number one. Number two, they may have a tiny little account and they're trading micros. How in the world do you truly believe you're going to be able to pay your bills trading micros? I mean, yeah, we have to be realistic. If you're trading 2 or 3 micros, how are you going to make any money? How are you going to make any money? I get a lot of emails. It's not going to happen. This business is not for everyone. This is a business for the long term. This is a business for an entrepreneurial thinking person. I love to make others successful. I've made many successful. But it really comes down to you. Do you want that success? Can you feel that success? Can you taste that success? Are you doing it for the right reasons? Are you trading for the right reasons? Are you trading for the sole purpose of, man, I got to make a lot of money? Well, you're not doing it for your health, that's for sure. But the reality, few people make money. You really have to know what you're doing, as anyone who's listening to this knows. So what does it take? A, you need to know a great methodology. We have that. B, you have to be a fantastic listener. Not hearing, but a fantastic listener. 3, you have to have the right attitude. You can't be a miserable individual. You have to allow yourself to get excited on your wins to some extent. But when you have a losing trade or 2 losing trades, not to get too down on yourself. You see, an entrepreneur thinks differently than somebody who's going to go to a job every day. Because that person that goes to their job every day, and it's a noble thing to go to a job every day. That's fine. That's wonderful. It's great. But they're going to get a paycheck for the most part at the end of the week or the end of their 2 weeks. And the only risk they have is maybe they're going to lose their job at some point. In trading, every time you put a trade on, there's going to be an occurrence. You're either going to make money on that trade or lose money on that trade. Your heart and soul, to some extent, goes into that trade. Because you know at the end of that trade, you're either going to be up or down on that trade. But hopefully your emotional being doesn't get out of whack. Again, don't allow your emotions to go flying high if you have a huge winning trade, and don't allow them to go all the way to the floor if you have a losing trade. Or you won't be in the business long. You won't succeed. You'll just be a very negative person. You've heard the expression before, you are who you surround yourself with, right? If your friends are good people, positive people, you're probably going to be more positive. If they're negative people, chances are you're going to be more negative. So what do I say? Get rid of your negative friends. Get rid of those people who are negative in your life. Those people who tell you you can't do something. If that was the fact, we wouldn't have a light bulb today. We wouldn't have electricity today. We wouldn't have a car probably today. You see, it's the people who tell you you can't do something that makes you want to do it that much more. That's what a true entrepreneur is. Taking that negativity and turning it into not only a positive, but turning it into action. There aren't a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs out there because it takes risk taking. And risk taking for most is a scary proposition. It's when you put everything on the line and you're willing to risk and lose it all. And if you do, you're going to get up and you're going to do it all over again. Now, I simplified it, but guess what? That's what I did. And that's what entrepreneurs do. And that's what successful-minded people do. They put everything they have into something to make it as successful as they possibly can. It's the hardest thing you will ever do. But in the end, if you don't quit, you make it. Also remember this, and I say it all the time, there's two ways that an individual can fail in life, according to Sam. One is you start something and you quit. You didn't give yourself a chance. That's called quitting. You quit. Number two is you really, really wanted to do something badly, but you didn't do it. And you really wanted to do it, but you did not do it. You never got started in the first place. And your whole life when you get older, all you tell your kids and grandkids and everyone else is, boy, I should have, I could have, I would have, but I didn't do it. And then you sit back and everything's retro. And instead of living in the present, you live in the past. Have you ever been around somebody who just lives in the past? It's depressing, isn't it? All they do is talk about the past. And almost always, it's more negative than positive. Why is that? Because if it was positive, they would be talking about the present, today, and maybe tomorrow, the next week, or next year. Talking about the enthusiasm that they have, the excitement. Oh my gosh, you can't believe what I have planned. But no, that's not how it is. I'll leave you with this thought because I hear it all the time. Begins with an R. It's the retirement term. It's the retirement term. And I'm hearing more and more people. I'm 53 years old, and I hear more and more people talk about retirement. And that word never sits well with me. But that's just me. Because the connotation of that word to me means a lot of things. But just in general means you're done. Right? Retire. Look, you can look the word up. But to me, I'm just saying, to me, it means I'm done. I'm done. Now, those other 30 or 40 years you put into work, and you look and you say, did I enjoy what I did? Did I really, really dislike what I did? Regardless, at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror and you have to be honest with yourself, as you probably have been many other times, and ask yourself this question. And obviously, this is for everyone, but let's say you look yourself in the mirror and you go, man, I did blank for the last 35 years of my life. And I really, really didn't like it. And then you get people who I wasted all that time and I could have done something else. No. Why didn't you do something else? Again, this breeds negativity. Now, on the other hand, you have people who are done with what they were doing. Okay. Usually they don't use the retirement word. Most successful people don't use that word, but whatever the case, they really don't. Go look at the people who are really successful. They don't use that word. They just keep doing things. Doesn't mean they're not going to slow down. Of course they're going to slow down. But they just don't use that word. Because after retirement comes what? Like you die. You get old and die. Right? People don't like to think that way. Successful people don't like to think that way. Other people like to think that way. I would think that those of you who are listening to this right now don't think that way. But if you were working for the last 35, 40 years, whatever it may be, and you loved what you were doing and you were happy, then the chances are you're going to be very happy when you're done doing that and you want to slow down and do whatever else you've always wanted to do, provided you're healthy enough. It's all a mindset. It's all a mindset. Life's not about regrets and I wish I did this and I wish I did that. Do it. You can be the only person that stops yourself from success. You can't blame anyone else. You can't blame a wife, a husband, a friend. You can only blame yourself. You have full responsibility of who you are and where you're going in life. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be times where it is really, really tough. And you're going to ask yourself, how in the world am I going to get out of this? And how am I going to do that? Right? Everyone grew up differently. Some people had a lot, others had very little. Very, very difficult when you have very little to make a very lot. But out of yourself, that is. But is it? Quite often we see those who have very little rise above and turn out to be something huge. Look at Oprah Winfrey. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to. Think this weekend about who you are. Think about the characteristics that were presented here. And truly be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell other people, well, I did this little project on myself, and I figured out I'm really not happy. Most people aren't happy. The goal is to become as happy as you possibly can. That's truly the goal. Because when you're happy, you create very, very, very positive hormones in your body. And the neurotransmitters, the positive ones. And it takes it to the next level because you're thinking on a positive wavelength. Food for thought? I think it is, yes. And always remember this as we close. Successful thinking, successful doing breeds success to you.